time AI insights, industry trends, and executive level analysis. And as we always promise, without the hype and noise. I'm your host, Albert Ramos, and I'm here with the AI sensei, Jason Has. He's the man. Let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about hallucinations. Don't be afraid, but we're going to talk about it. We're then going to switch gears into retail. We had a lot of buzz yesterday when we chatted about retail earlier this week. And then finally, as you're making your drive, getting your workout in, sipping your coffee, and we got some DMs. I drink tea. Got it. And your tea. We're also going to talk about the food industry and maybe even jump into the fitness industry. Excited to do that. Jason, we were chatting a ton about AI adoption. However, there seems to be a gap because of all this noise around AI hallucinations. Let's switch it over to you, sir. Good morning.
Morning. Thanks, Albert. Yeah, so one of the biggest pushbacks of anyone that's looking to adopt AI is always about hallucinations. And let's talk a little bit about hallucination. What is it? When does it occur? How often does it occur? And be able to kind of demystify the whole experience that people have. So when ChatGPT was first released, the 3.0 that came out in November of 2022, it was probably a bit rushed. And that's where a lot of people saw hallucinations, where it would make up facts and be able to tell its own story. And so you've got a lot of really creative outputs because these models were always presented to give you an answer. No matter if it
Right.
knew the answer or not, it was always expected to give you an answer. So people would ask it questions like, how long does it take to walk across the English Channel? And it would say an hour and a half, even though most people can't walk across water.
That's so funny. I love that. Yeah, I think there's definitely still somewhat of a hesitation with AI adoption. Although, Jace, I think White Glove's on the forefront to get people to feel better about that. We've been seeing that, and I think that across the world, it's getting more traction, right? And I can't wait to, if we get to it, we can talk about NVIDIA. We were wondering yesterday, hey, what's going on with the news channel? Like, there's not a lot of bigger headlines, and then we saw this thing pop out of the stage yesterday, which we can potentially get to, but it's interesting. I've been thinking a lot about hallucinations and less about incorrect output, right? But more about, I think about, for instance, Altman over at OpenAI, could it be eventually, and we saw this with Google, but could it be eventually where you get a pay to play type of thing where actually, while we think the output is very precise, fast, and accurate, there's some sort of a financial gain on the back end from, let's just say, I don't know, I'll use Amazon. Amazon and Altman, they connect, hey, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars if your output tends to be our links, our output, our data, what we want it to be. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think that there's a possibility of that happening, and maybe it's already happening?
I hope not. I think that goes down to a rabbit hole where you're going to get curated data
Right,
and then it can be
exactly.
pushed to exactly what you want. And we saw this with Google back in the day, where the more you pay, the more your link and your story will be pushed higher up. So I hope
Right.
that we don't get that and we keep the ability for it to be free and be open. But as senior leaders, you need to take accountability as you're creating these. I don't believe that hallucinations as big as a problem as it was in early 2023.
Right,
The
right.
models have matured, they've gotten smarter, they've gotten more eloquent on how they present information to you, but also it's about how you ask the questions.
Yes, I was
And
going to
you
ask
as a
you.
leader need to know how to ask the right questions to get the response out of it. If you have an employee that is not great at spreadsheets, but you keep giving him spreadsheets and expecting a different result that he's not going to make a mistake, you're putting them in the wrong seat. So I love the Jim Collins. You've got to put the right people in the bus, and you've got to put them
Oh,
in the right
yeah.
seat.
That's good to
Using
great right
AI
there.
is the same way.
Such a great author, by the way. Good to Great, Built to Last. I think he came out with some other ones too, and I need to grab them. Maybe someone can shoot it to us in the
Yep, yeah.
comments.
Work 2.0 is another one I just
Yeah.
read by him.
You made a good comment. We were chatting about this, and you made a good comment. It was about, wait a second. So you're going to be afraid of AI because of every now and then. And by the way, you're right. It's been so much more minimal compared to when this was released. And let's talk Chat GPT, right? When it was released earlier mainstream, right? But you said something that really resonated with me. So you're going to be afraid to use AI because of these hallucinations, yet you still have your employee who at times makes mistakes and you're still okay with it, right? You said something in that lines.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah,
remind
yeah,
us all how
the
you said it? It was
bar
really
the
good.
bar seems to be off that,
Right.
you know, we accept a mistake an employee has. So if you give an employee a task to create a 40-page report based on whatever your industry is, it's going to take them, let's say, 30 hours for them to do all of the research, get all of the comparisons, and be able to present you that report. Say there's two mistakes in there. Do you never use that analyst ever again? No, you coach them up, you ask them the right questions, and you be able to get them so that you see improvement. It's the same thing when you're speaking with an AI. They're not going to be perfect every single time, but if you know what they're good at and you can focus them to be very good at the things that you need done, and then you spend that extra time that you're saving because a report now, 40-page report, you can probably get done in about 20 minutes with deep research.
Yeah.
Now you've got all of that extra time for your analyst to really go deep into the resourcing it and being able to identify all of the different points being made, the numbers, making sure that they're accurate. That's where I've seen the most hallucinations in my use is numbers and URLs. That's where
Right.
it seems to make the most mistakes right now.
It's so funny you say the URLs or the links. I was shopping around, right? And I wanted it to give me a link directly on Amazon for a certain product. And it took me to like dog products. I'm like, wait a second, that's not what I asked for. So, you just got to iterate. You brought up a good question. It's how you ask. And I know the models are different, which is my second point, which I'll get to in a sec. But you brought up Pico before. I'll tell you, when I first met you, not only was I impressed, but when you brought up the Pico framework, I'm like, oh my goodness, that is perfect. I've been waiting for something like that. Do you mind going through that? Because you're right. It's pretty much what you're telling it is, right? It's like an employee. You got to know what its strengths are. Well, you got to let your AI bot or what have you, even agent, you got to let them know what it is so that it's great at that. Can you walk through Pico for the audience?
Yeah, yeah. So Pico is a framework that I created with a couple other coworkers at the time to really start helping people be able to get past the mind block of having that blank screen to speak to. So Pico stands for persona, instructions, context, and output.
Love it.
So persona, let's start with the P. You can have these models take on any persona because it has learned everything from the internet and knows about every single job. You can say specifically you are an employee at this company with this role because it's seen all of the job descriptions and knows what to expect out of that role. So let's say you're an investment specialist. It knows all of the things expected of an investment specialist, the jobs that you do on a daily basis, the outputs that you're expected to provide. The next is the instructions. And this is the key thing. And this is probably where everyone starts with. I need a task done. Give me an
Right.
answer.
Yep.
Provide that level of instructions. But the context is what's necessary.
People
These
forget that
models
one.
don't have the understanding that we have. You've got to think of them as a brand new intern that just joined. They have no understanding of your organization, of what you do. They understand conceptually because of the job description, but the day-to-day actions, they need that context. So that's where providing it more information, more documentation, oversharing to be able to get it to be
Right.
able to get the right level of output you're expecting. And then the last one is output. These are great. It doesn't just give you one type of output. If you get it in a paragraph form and you want bullets, you can just say, please provide it in bullets,
Right.
provide it in code, provide it in a table format, and it's able to give that to you so you can put it into the format that you want. The part that's even really cool where you next level it is you give it an example of a report that you've already done or something that you are expected to come, and it will mimic and mirror that type of report so that you have the report the exact way that you traditionally submit that.
So good. And hopefully people were taking that down mentally or jotting it down or typing, and hopefully typing or transcribing. I love it, right? One of the things too that you taught me, especially on the O, right? Output and optimize. We chatted about the iteration portion. And what you can do is you can even tell it, hey, before you give me your output, provide 20 follow-up questions that I could answer to make this more precise. Highly recommend that. I've gotten so much better output from doing that because I didn't realize, like, sometimes you just assume it's going to figure out all the different
Right.
layers and variables that you're needing to include or assuming. And so that's
Yeah,
been really
being
cool.
able to ask it to help find your blind spots because you're not articulating it in a way that it may understand. So if
Right.
being able to say, if you have any questions, please ask me before you provide the output.
So good. So it's funny, I work for an organization, well, a couple of different organizations, but one of them, and you can find me on LinkedIn. And Jason, you know this, it's in the retail space, right? And I'm so excited, just with our background, with my background, we're looking to make the retail space far more innovative. White Glove does it, right? We both do it through White Glove and through some other entities. And it was awesome. I walk in, or I'm going to this retail shop, and I tap my card, and the door's open. There's not a human in sight. I thought that was interesting. And I grab the product, and there's 40 different cameras above me. It's like this, what you would call a micro shop. And I forget what Amazon used to call it. It was like a walk in, walk out type
Amazon
of
Go.
Amazon Go, right? And I don't know how they're doing it. I know it was a little shaky, but I think now the mainstream has gotten used to this self checkout. Like, I don't need to interact. I just need to grab, purchase, get out. So I grab a product. Somehow the cameras know. I mean, it knows exactly where it was. I already tapped my card. It's watching my movements, and I go and I tap out, and boom, it hits my checking account or credit card or whatever, and I get a digital receipt. And it was awesome. And I'm not saying that I don't want to connect with anyone, but sometimes in those cases, I just want to go
Sometimes you
in and
don't.
get out. Yeah, sometimes I don't. What I love, and this is going to tie back into White Glove. What I would have liked, however, is a screen with Gloria, right? A screen with Gloria, our White Glove AI avatar, and just more of a, hey, Albert, how are you? Thanks
Welcoming
for,
you.
yeah, thank you so much for coming in. Hey, I just saw you grab that Snickers bar. Great choice. I'm like, yes, I love Snickers. And then I'd walk out, right? And then I'd pay for it. But what have you been seeing in the retail space? What are you excited about? Specific AI
I
powered retail?
love that. I last time I went to New York City, I flew into LaGuardia, and they've got one of those that they've replaced the Hudson newspapers with that check-in checkout. So they've gotten rid of the employees, and now it's just there. It's got all the cameras there. You tap in, you go get your water. Like, that's a place I don't really want to have a conversation. It is in the Hudson's airport. I just want to grab a
Right.
water. I want to grab a book, and I want to go sit down and wait for my plane to come. So this is a great use of where this type of technology can really affect the retail space. You don't need a lot. You're going to have some infrastructure costs, but it's
Right.
definitely going to be a lot less requirements. So I think that's going to be something you're going to see more and more, and you get more and more used to it. I went to Amazon Go when they first came out, and they hit the market a bit early because I
Right.
think
They're
it
ahead of
was
the game.
2015, 2016 when they had the first one in Seattle.
Right.
So it took almost a decade for it to really start being acceptable. But no, it is a cool solution and a way to think about being able to save some of those costs.
And it's so funny. Speaking of costs, it's funny because, again, we were talking about the fear of hallucination in retail, right? The worst word you can hear is shrink, right? And it's so funny, even with these micro shops, Amazon, the organization I'm working with, and others, the fear is, well, shrink, shrink, shrink. Well, wait a second. There's barriers to that. Now, if someone climbs under the doors, that might be a different story. You're really trying to steal something. But again, you have 40 different cameras. We have your card on file. It's very hard to do. So I think for those out there that are in the retail space that are wondering, should I jump in with some of this automation and AI? Of course, absolutely. That goes into the shopping experience, this hyper personalized, convenient, quick shopping experience. We have Samantha behind the scenes here. She was giving us a great example that, it was the CEO of Goodwill, if I remember correctly from earlier this morning's conversation. And we have retail executives that are looking to integrate AI into organizing textiles or clothing pieces and things like that. We are already seeing a lot of this. Speaking of avatar, where you can chat with someone, an apparel liaison, to have you select the right clothing that you're looking for, right? And I know we're a big part of the retail ecosystem. We're trying to connect the digital and the physical. But any thoughts on that, on how we can
Yeah,
create better
yeah. There's
experiences?
there's been a lot going on with that right now. especially on the research side. They're
Right.
seeing, the latest report I saw is a lot more people. I believe it was like 30 to 45% increase this year of people using generative AI to do their research as they're preparing to buy something,
Wow.
doing comparisons and being able to do that. And I think this is going to change how SEO is done,
I
because if
agree.
you're able to multimodal, whether you're using text or you're chatting, you're doing your research for a purchase. How is that going to go, and how is that going to land you to that company? And this is where I think I am concerned of being able to curate and having AI with a whole bunch of advertisements also on
Right.
top of that, of like, what does that look like? And are we going to just have a fancier, more productive Google where we just get flooded with all of these different advertisements throughout our exploration journey?
You know what that reminds me of? Tom Cruise, Minority Report. It's all through the eyes, right? But he's walking past the retail stores and they're like, good morning, Mr. I'll say Anderson. Good morning, Mr. Anderson. How are you? You would really enjoy this blue shirt. I'm like, whoa, that is like, we're almost there. I mean, we
Yeah.
have the avatar, we have the vision, we have the memory, we have your data, right? It's just about there. And I don't even think that's AGI. That's more just predictive analytics, right? It's just now it just needs to recognize who you are. That's the tough part. And I know there's some tension around the facial recognition, right? We hear a lot about the surveillance state, right, in some other countries. And, I mean, we have the capability of doing it. Now it's touchy, right? Privacy, and you're walking by and you're shouting it out to everyone around, like what I would like and what I should buy. So like window shopping is going to be taken to a whole different level.
As well as the augmented reality.
Right.
Nick is not here, but he purchased the new Ray-Ban Meta glasses,
Oh,
and
I'm
it
so
made me
jealous.
remember. Google Glass came out right around in that same time that Apple Go stood up, right around the
Right.
2015s, and that was such a cool solution. I actually had the opportunity to play with it and work with it, and I thought, how is this not going to take off and everyone going to have their own Google Glass? And part of it was who they marketed to. They just gave
Mm,
it to a bunch of developers,
right.
and it
Exactly.
didn't look cool on them. If you What Meta did, and I think what Meta learned from this, is let's put it on some supermodels and show that it can look good and that you want this, and then you'll get the traction.
I'm excited about Meta, man. I've said it before in different episodes or different shows. I really think they're flying under the radar. I got that Oculus 3, I think it's like 3S or whatever. And man, it is clunky, right? Like I'm jealous. Nick has
It
the
is.
Ray-Bans, sleek, GQ. He's gonna look so GQ. But those Oculuses are pretty clunky. Now I will say they've from a camera to the to kind of some separation between your eyes, getting over some of the what I would call like the vertigo experience. Your brain is just trying to figure it out, right? Because it gets a little bit tricked on your spatial recognition and kind of your equilibrium's a little off. I'm excited to see the Ray Bans. He'll have to let me borrow them. I gotta
Yeah,
try. I gotta try these out.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. The Oculus and then the Apple one also. It looks like you're skiing in the middle of the summer. Like
exactly.
they've got to do
Just
something about the way that it looks on you.
that is so funny. All right, so I'm sure everyone's out there, and Jason, it might be happening, it might not be, but I'm going to say it. I've been getting a ton of DMs of people just saying Jason looks so dang good. He's on one. What is going on? And that's going to lead me into my next thing. I said we talk about the food industry and fitness. AI in the food side of things. But seriously, Jason, you look great. And not to put you on the spot, but you've been working out a ton. I know you got tonal, you got some other things. Your food regimen, I'm jealous. I'm envious. I don't have the mental power to do it. You eat so clean. I remember when we were at a restaurant together, and I was using my AI to look for the healthy options within my fitness routine, and it told me what to do, and I picked the exact opposite. I'm like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. I'm
Yeah,
going to
you
eat something that
pick the most unhealthy
I
option.
picked the most unhealthy option. But let's switch gears in there. How is AI impacting the food industry, the food space, and even your, hyper personalized food regimen, supplementation, fitness journey?
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot that's been happening. We actually interviewed a couple weeks back when we were at the Kellogg event a
That's
gentleman
right.
that was building out a smart utensils that is able to tell exactly how much and then has a haptic when you're eating too much, when you're eating too
Yes.
fast, and be able to do that. There's that type of space where it's kind of disrupting how you use your utensils. And he was talking about plates and drinks and things like
So
that
cool.
to be able to help being able to stay and stick on your diet. Even just the basic things of using ChatGPT, Claude, any of these to start designing your diet. I
Right.
want to eat, this specific way. I want to go keto. I want to go carnivore. I want to go whichever version of diet you'd like to go on, and be able to then build that whole schedule out. And then you can also use it to, here's what I got in the refrigerator. What type of recipes can I make that are keto, and be able to provide that. And that's just easy things that you can do right now. It doesn't really require any special utensils or things like that, but you can be able to, start setting your diet and your exercise routine just by, asking it what your goals are, what you want to accomplish, and be able to do that. It does take discipline. It will give you the right answer like it did for you, Albert. You've got to have the discipline to then go ahead and say, yes, I want to go with the healthy option, and not take the smothered biscuits and um,
The three stacked pancakes. It was so good, Samantha. I wish you were there. It was so good. Okay, so you got me fired up because I've been in this health and fitness space for the last, what, 15, 16 years. And now you got my juices flowing, right? So yes, for those that didn't see what Jason, we were on it. Nick, man, he had us. He was putting us to work. I think we were live for like 6 hours straight.
yes,
I'm
yeah.
like, Nick,
I
get us
didn't
some
want to talk
food. Get
S3
us some
mode.
food. But yes, so the smart utensils is awesome, and in addition to the weight, the speed, right? People don't realize like how quickly or how slowly you eat is very important for your digestive tract, right? And the hormones involved like ghrelin and et cetera. But the macros, right? So for those that are really playing this, you're all over this when it comes to macros and protein, your carbs, right, et cetera, right? It
Yeah,
can actually
zero
identify your
carb is the
macros.
best carb.
I'm like 100% carb is the best carb. My wife's Italian, so I'm like pasta, cheese, wine. I'm like it's not good for me, but I love it. So yeah, so it would do the macros and all of that. But you got my juices flowing now because why not? And I'm going to challenge. And for those that know, I used to work for a company called Lifetime Athletic. I'm going to challenge Bahram Akradi and Jeff Sweefel. Why can't I go into the cafe, self checkout, and it has, because I've allowed it to, it has my data, my fitness goals in there, and I can curate the menu by having an experience. Maybe it's an avatar, maybe it's not. Maybe it's voice, or I'm typing it in. And today, here was my workout. What do you recommend on the menu today that I can choose from? I mean, that experience, rather than me like, which one do I want today? I don't know. How much protein does that have? I can use AI to, I mean, it
Yeah,
immediately post
based on the
workout.
workout you've had, how much
Exactly.
growth.
Intensity to, yeah, exactly. We might
That
need to
that
jump in
that
there.
sounds like a great way that we can start taking advantage of it. Once you start being able to capture this with wearables, and being able to see what you're doing, I think that's the next phase of being able to personalize that diet. And you can just walk up and say, "All right, you just had a heavy chest day. Let's go ahead and give you, heavy protein,
Right.
a little bit of banana, and some." And it already knows what you don't like, so it knows you don't like peanut butter, so don't even try to ask me if I want peanut butter.
And again, people think this is so far out there, but it's here. So Gloria, but maybe it's not Gloria because Gloria has a nice knitted sweater. She's comfy at home. Let's say Coach Jason, right? Coach Jason comes on the screen. Hey Albert, what's going on? What are you thinking? Well, how was your workout? It was great. I did a heavy leg day. Not sure what I want to get today. Gotcha, man. By the way, great job getting your leg day Monday, right?
Yeah,
You're not going to be able to
I'm
walk.
hearing Jocko Willick in the head of just like getting after it.
Wait a second. We saw that you checked in 30 minutes ago. What a weak workout. Get back up there.
Yeah,
It's like you're not
you
ready for
were
your
up at
protein.
4:30.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, yeah. Where's your picture of your watch? That is hilarious. So I'm excited about AI in the fitness space, food, right? Because that's like and you know this, right? 90% of the battle, right? And then there's the supplementation part. You can get very, very precise, hyper personalized experience there as well. So,
Even
yeah,
on the support and the professional growth. I mean, we had some debates last night over LinkedIn about that, and I feel that I've been using Tonal for 4 years now, and
awesome.
it has been a great tool with AI integrated into it, where I never have to think about what weight. It knows what my goals are. It knows what I accomplished yesterday, and it'll say, "Okay, this is what you're going to lift. I know you can do this for 8 reps, for 15 reps," and it will put and tailor the weight to me, and it makes
So
it so
cool.
much easier. I don't have to worry about that, and I don't have to worry about putting on different plates and, what does this come up to? It does it all for me. I don't have to think. All I have to do is just get on the bench and just push.
Wow, that's amazing. And I had no idea Tonal was doing that, and integrating AI until I met you and you were chatting with me about it. Because I always thought Tonal, man, that's a fad. I don't know if people are going to be doing that. And clearly, you're getting results, and I love the technology behind it too. So it's something that I definitely want to try. And for those out there, if
Yeah,
you haven't,
I've been leading edge of AI before it got commercialized, and
yeah,
let's go ahead and talk about the last one. So we had NVIDIA's GTC rollout yesterday.
what is going on?
The big news is they've got a partnership with GM for self-driving cars.
Right?
I've was one of the early Tesla adopters of the self-driving car, and
Yeah, you're
even
crazy.
I don't know,
You're
3 years
crazy.
ago when that rolled out, it was like when my oldest was learning how to drive. So it was like driving with a 16-year-old, and you're just holding on tight and just hoping that it goes the right way.
Your foot's going through the
And
through the
it has
bottom of the.
evolved and continued to improve. And if I had a longer commute than two stoplights, I would probably use it a lot more.
Yeah,
Whenever I've got to go for long distances, like when we went out downtown Dallas,
right for
I
breakfast.
had to
Yeah.
drive the whole way. It went over ramps, it did left turns, right turns, it does everything. It is
Wow,
very good right now. So I'm really looking forward to seeing as others start getting into the space of how self-driving is going to evolve.
that is so cool. Yeah, and the other thing that NVIDIA brought up, right, and we were just like, "What is going on here?" You saw like a mini R2D2 come out of the stage, and he's walking around, and it's like we were talking about this. Like, okay, is that? I mean, cool. Is that the most? I don't know. Would you use it
Yeah,
for
yeah.
some
It,
sort of
it felt like
productivity
a
gain?
pet. It felt
Yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah.
robotic
It's like
pet.
hello. And honestly, though, is that the next step? Maybe that from a human perspective, right? You have that empath, emotional thing that we do that AI can't do yet, right? When we were kind of talking about AGI too, not yet, or at least not natural, authentic. Does the robotics at home, right? I'm not talking about warehouse and things like commercial, but I'm talking about at home before it starts doing professional, personal tasks for you. Does there need to be somewhat of a layer in between, like a pet, right? But I don't know, because then we were talking about Roomba. Roomba, it was an
Yeah, Roomba's been
impediment.
around for
It's been
years.
around, yeah.
I mean, if they could just get it so it's not, so loud that the whole
Holy
neighborhood
smokes!
can hear
It's
that
like
you're running a Roomba.
it's like, oh, he's cleaning again. That
It
is too
must be
funny.
Wednesday at noon because
Yeah,
the schedule's gone.
yeah, yeah. So funny. All right. Well, I did want to talk about mental health, but I think or AI when it comes to um, helping mental health and improving mental health. But we'll take that for next week. I'm excited to talk about that. I'd love to chat more about that. I know there's been a lot of people out there that have been asking, "Hey, let's bring this up. Let's have a conversation about it." So we will. For anyone that's been reaching out, we will do that. But really exciting, great topics: retail, fitness and food and supplementation, NVIDIA headliners, right? Hallucinations. We kicked off with that. Really good, Jason. I love it. Well, that's it for today's morning buzz. Hopefully, everyone had an opportunity to jot some things down. There's some really good nuggets in there. I'm looking forward to the thumbnails and the clips. Big thanks to Jason, as always, sir. Such a wealth of knowledge, and thank you for everyone for joining this morning. We really appreciate it. As we always say, Jason and I always challenge you all: stay curious, stay innovative, ask questions, offer discernment. right? Stay skeptical, but also lean into AI. We're here every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 7:30 a.m. Central, and we're looking forward to releasing some more podcasts. If you didn't catch it, yesterday's episode actually went through a list of names. So if you're familiar with any of those or any of those industries and you're excited to listen, please do. You'll find us on YouTube, Spotify, obviously LinkedIn, and some others. So really excited. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day.